Thanks for tuning to the ReShard show today. We have a very special guest. I guess it's from Shongaloo. Hope I'm saying that right. Shongaloo, Louisiana. She's a fourth generation artist in her family. When it comes to music, she's collaborated with the likes of Christina Aguilera, Beverly, Crawford, uh, Ernest, Pugh, Judith, McAllister, Beyonce, Lettucey, October London, Erica Campbell, and many more. Fresh off of her performance at the Snoop Dogg's Death Rose Altar Call live performance, we have the one, the only Camille Grigsby. How you doing, sister?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I think I could probably retire after this interview because
Oh,
this is very iconic for me. So,
is it really?
so,
Wow.
yeah, because
Honored to
you've
be
done
here.
some major things throughout your career, and like I said, just an honor to have you, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Um, so, of course, this is our first interview together. So, just to kind of break the ice, who is Miss Camille Grigsby away from the music?
Away from the music, you know what? I'm really kind of very low key, real
Mm-hmm,
reserved,
mm-hmm,
kind of quiet. So there's something that kicks in when I'm performing that's
mm-hmm,
different than who I am. I prefer kind of just to kind of chill out
mm-hmm,
and enjoy being at home. I
mm-hmm,
like to cook. I like to shop. I love watching movies
mm-hmm,
and just getting involved in good series. So I'm really like I love my quiet time, and I
mm-hmm,
think kind of it's a good balance for me. Having
mm-hmm,
to do so much
mm-hmm,
on stage and being a part of the creative process to just have a moment to chill out. I still work a regular job, a regular nine to
okay.
five,
Mm-hmm,
and I love what I do in that aspect as well. So I'm just
mm-hmm,
everyday person
mm-hmm.
outside of performing.
Like when you're at I guess your quote unquote 9 to 5, like do people recognize you from the music, come up to you like, hey, you aren't you such and such? Do you get those moments?
So when I first started, I really tried to keep that a very low key thing.
Okay.
Now my family is from Shongaloo. I live in
Mm-hmm,
the LA area,
mm-hmm,
and a lot of transplants come out to Hollywood, so to speak,
mm-hmm,
and they're looking for something else. So I didn't want my employer to think that's what I was going to do and so they could expect, less than stellar performance from me. So I really didn't tell them a lot, but somebody found out and they looked at a couple of YouTube clips, and then I started getting this buzz around the
uh,
office and people started asking me questions.
mm-hmm,
And then I did something here locally last year that aired on the television, and a couple of my coworkers saw it. So it's kind of out now who I am and what I do. And so, a couple times they've asked me to sing in a few meetings and things like
mm-hmm.
that, and played a couple of my recordings for everybody to hear. But
Wow.
yeah, it's kind of out there now.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you're from Sugarloaf, Louisiana. And for the ones that have never heard of the town, can you share like some history about the town or some fond memories about the town?
So honestly, my family is from Shongaloo,
Mm-hmm,
which would be my grandfather and my
mm-hmm.
great grandfather. By the time it got to my generation, we were all West Coasters. So
Okay.
I have heard about it. It's a very very small town. Not a lot of people are from there. I haven't found anybody I know. And most of them are gone now. They're more in like New Orleans or
Mm-hmm,
Shreveport. They've kind of branched out, but a big part of my family, my branch, ended up in California in the 1930s and 40s. And so we've been
mm-hmm,
out there for a long time. But I've always wanted to go and see it and just
mm-hmm,
kind of see, get to know my roots a little bit. It's a small town,
mm-hmm,
and not a lot of people were from there. So I don't know a lot about the history from it. I just know it's where we were.
mm-hmm.
But it's a really small community.
And as I mentioned, you're fourth generation when it comes to the music side of things. So did you ever like feel like any pressure just to see, because consider that so many like good singers and musicians in the family?
um, Not pressure, so to speak, but it was definitely something that I wanted to be a part of. So, watching my father and his brother sing, they were premier vocalists in our church. And then when I got old enough and we would get together as a family, you would see the family everybody was singing and they were all gathered around, and it was something that we were just known for. And then I was taught, you know, in Louisiana, my great grandfather, my grandfather, they had small quartet groups and they were doing, you know, clinics and doing things, traveling in Louisiana. And so it was more of an honor to carry that heritage, but you definitely, you know, don't want to step out until you're sure and you're ready. But I think the first time they heard me sing was at my grandfather's funeral. And a lot of them were very shocked. But again, it's an honor to carry a tradition like that and to pass it on to the next generation. And that's what we're doing now. I have nieces that are taking that interest. And so you pouring that into the next generation. But yeah, it's an honor.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask, if I may ask, what gave you the confidence to even want to pursue music as a profession? Because, you know, the industry can be a roller coaster. Sometimes, you know, you may get a lot of calls this year, then next year it slows down. So like what, I guess gave you the confidence to want to do that as a profession and remain in it for so many years?
I think really, I was just inspired by the artists that I grew up listening to. I wanted to do that. It was something that was just in me to do. And I practiced and practiced and practiced. It just never let me go. And I could see myself doing it. I could see myself on the stage doing it. And so even though I'm an introvert and I really do kind of like to sit in the background, it's a passion and it's a love that you have creating and expressing yourself in that way. It really is a fire in you that doesn't go away. And so there are ups and downs. I've been fortunate and blessed to make some really good relationships. It is about connections and relationships and who you know. The church that I joined when I moved to LA had some prominent people there that were getting calls all the time to contract for this and contract for that. And so it just happened to be when I came on the scene, who I knew at the time, and doors that opened for me. And really the Lord is the one that blessed me, because some people come to LA and they don't stay. They come on back, you know, to wherever they were from.
Quick, yeah.
So it was just, you know, this was where God wanted me to be, and his favor is really what opened the door and created opportunities. And being patient and committed, you know, and then having a great work ethic. You know, your reputation is a big deal. Are you difficult to work with? Are you punctual? Do you know what you know? Can they count on you? Are you going to give it your all? Having those things and people remembering your name, that's kind of where it is for me. And so I've just been privileged. New doors open all the time, you know, so you got to be ready for them.
Indeed. Yeah. And of course, you have a unique voice, in my opinion. So can you share, in your own opinion, like what is your signature sound? What is the Camille Grigsby signature sound?
I think it varies, but a lot of times I am called on to do a lot of the power singing, a lot of songs that are dramatic in nature. For slow ballads, if it's a song that's definitely got to go somewhere, it would be, you know, I get a lot of those because I'm able to pace myself through the song. Songs that have very strong messages and being able to tell the story of that. What I love about my voice, it is versatile depending on the range that I'm in. It could change the timbre. And we have, my friend calls it this rev that we do. When we get to a certain place, it's a pull. You can kind of hear a change of gear kind of in it. But I feel like even now where I'm at now in my voice, being a little older, I'm really appreciating the fullness and the tone of it. And it has, like you said, it has a unique tone. You're going to know it's me. Yeah. Even in the background, when you hear me singing background on something, you'll be like, okay, I can hear Camille. You know, and I used to be upset about that and feel ashamed about that. But one of the things I've learned in working with some of these artists is this is who you are, and you have to embrace who you are. And those that love it will embrace it. If it's not for some people, it's just not for them. But this is the gift you've been given. And so embrace it and be who you are. So.
And, you know, of course, you know, we as listeners could say, oh, I think she sounds a little pop. She sounds a little quartetish, you know, these different things. So, you know, I always ask that particular question when I have vocalists on to see how they perceive their voice versus, you know, everybody on the outside. You know, some people they say, "Oh, I don't like my voice. I just sing," or you know. But you know, a lot of people that say they don't like their voice, you know, they're incredible vocalists. So it's a weird dynamic. But
because it sounds different to you.
Yeah,
it sounds different in your head, and sometimes what you intend to do doesn't always come across like you want it. And we are the biggest critiques of ourselves because you all hear it and be like, "Oh, that was amazing," but I could think of 15 other things I wanted to try that I wasn't able to execute. And so I feel disappointed or dejected in that. But, you know, it's just a part of it.
And I think that might be a universal feeling that creators get, because I'm a guitar player. So, of course, like whenever I do have a chance to record something, you know, I'm like, yeah, I should play this lick like this, or I should chose different, you know, patterns for like the solos and all this different things. So I definitely understand. I think it's something that creators deal with because they want to be so perfect, you know. So I definitely get it. But one of the other questions one of the other things I want to talk to you about, of course, you've been in the industry for years, you know, and just been doing some amazing things. Like I say, you want to work with the Christina Aguileras, the Beyonces, the Lilly, the October London, of course, Snoop, amongst, you know, Beverly Crawford, who's from the same place I'm from. She's from Florida as well. So have there ever been a moment like, man, did I really just get that call? Or, you know, were you shocked about any calls or connections that you know had over the years?
Yes. It's always amazing to get a call to come do. Sometimes, you know, they don't always tell you. I think like when we did we did Black is King. I don't know if you remember when Beyonce released that, and we did the video for it. They didn't tell us what we were going to do.
Oh, wow.
We got a call to come do it, and it was kind of like, just whoever your connect was like, "Hey, just trust me and come on down. Can you be here?" And they didn't want it publicized at the time who it was, and everybody trying to make phone calls. And so you kind of had to just say, "Okay, I'm gonna go do it." But the most surprising one I would say is probably the connection with Lettucey that I wasn't expecting. I really responded to an inquiry I saw. I didn't know it was her that I was responding for. And I didn't expect much from it, right? And so when you were talking about how you feel about your voice, I never did much R&B because I didn't feel like my voice type was the right fit. You know, my church, I have a church upbringing, and that's what I'm most comfortable doing. So I felt like my voice is too heavy, my vibrato's too heavy. I can't, you know, they're not going. And so I didn't pursue it, but I did it because a friend recommended me, sent it in, and she called me and was like, "What? Oh my God, where you been?" I don't, you know, and we had a conversation, and I was like, well, maybe I have limited myself a little bit. And it's been an amazing experience growing in that and challenging myself to try a different approach. You know, everything can't be gospel. You do have to learn different approaches. And I'm sure you've experienced this with guitar playing. You got to have a different approach for the different styles of music. So I've really had an ability to challenge myself. And that's where I think I've experienced the most growth is things outside of gospel and really seeing what my voice can do. So that's the thing I did not expect. And I did not expect so many opportunities, but it's been amazing. I was like, oh, I've learned so much from her. Just watching her, again, own her voice and who she is and not shrink away. This is me. And I'm like, okay, all right. But yeah, unexpected blessings.
I think, well, you know, when you mentioned Beyonce, I think that's the thing for her, I guess, because I have a cousin that writes for her as well. So when she first got that call, of course, they didn't tell her who it was for. You know, same thing. She just so happened, like when they finished the session, that's when she came in, like maybe 2 or 3 hours later. That's when she popped up. Oh, so everybody was caught off guard, type of thing. So I guess that's the running theme that they have initially.
Yeah, and I can understand that. I got it. I get it.
Yeah, and of course, you just released a new single, right? Called His Name. And of course, it's featured on the Death Row and Snoop's Altar Call album. So how did that opportunity come about, and how did this? What's the backstory about the song as well?
Well, the song is actually written by Michael Burrell, who is a very well-known, accomplished, talented musician. And it's a song that actually was written a couple years ago. He wrote the song out of his personal testimony. I don't know if you're familiar with Mike, but he had some health challenges
Yes.
recently. And he said that while he was going through this, as they were on their way to the hospital, all he heard was his wife calling on the name of Jesus over him. And so that's where the song came from him, is call that name, and just reiterating the power that is in the name of Jesus. When he first played it for me, I felt a connection to the song because I felt like it was a great tool to remind people of the power in Jesus' name, but also that they could call on him. You know, people may feel like they're not eligible, they're not qualified, they can't, you know, because of where they've been and what they've done. You know, they're too ashamed, you know, to call on Jesus, or Jesus is not listening to me. He don't want to talk to me, or what have you. When I heard that, I was like, you know, he cares for you. That's one of the refrains. And I was like, that's an amazing thing to leave with somebody. Call him, you know. And so I wrote the verse that I'm doing. So it was a co-wrote. I brought that verse, but basically just saying, you know, he's been waiting for this time, this opportunity to step in, to answer your call. So you don't have to be ashamed. Just call on him and he will answer. So that's the backstory on that song. Like I said, we didn't write it specifically for this project, but when the producers, Mike Burrell, Charlie Burrell, Bennett Pace singer, when they got the call to do it, they played this song for the team, and everybody loved it and wanted it to be a part of the album. And so I think being on Altar Call, with that being the name of the album, it seemed to fit very well. And we've gotten a lot of positive feedback on it, the message alone.
Yes, and of course, since we added to rotation, it's been, you know, getting requested every day, you know.
Really?
So people wanted to hear from you. They wanted to hear from Jane Hancock.
Okay.
Of course, we was already playing Charlie, but you know, more people want to hear from Charlie from that episode. So it's just, you guys pretty much have taken over the whole rotation for
oh wow, that's
with the
good.
Altar Call. So I was like, man. So I guess so that's what you led me to, like, okay, we might need to reach out to some of the people that's a part of the album, since it's pretty much every other song is an Altar Call song.
Oh, that's amazing! Wow.
So
that's great to hear.
So you guys definitely connected with the people with these songs, you know, and with your voices, you know, you really touch the hearts, you know, and really inspiring people, you know.
Well, that's great.
So this next segment is going to be more of the person behind the music, a little bit deeper, some deeper questions. But I promise nothing too crazy. If you don't want to answer, just say pass. I don't need no viral moments. So
okay.
All right, so here we go. Of course, you've collaborated with a lot of amazing artists. Do you have like a dream collaboration, whether it's with another artist or a producer or a songwriter?
You know, I haven't really thought about that in detail. There are people I will always hold dear to my heart, and I just that I always revere. I really love Jordan B. Welch right now. I love her music, her worship, and me being a worship leader, I listen to her stuff all the time, and just the purity of it, and how beautiful it is. And so I would love to work with her at some point, or do a song, or have a song written for her. I mean, I just, you know, I really think I really love her approach. And of course, right here in LA, or right here in California, Lena Bird Miles, who I've had the privilege to know. I would love to do something with her. And I always love, you know, Erica. I've been featured on a couple of Erica's songs, but I always love Erica and Erica Campbell's spirit. So being able to work with her a little bit personally, one-on-one, would be amazing for me. But I just, you know, I'm open to whomever. I'm open. I never limit myself, because there's always, you know, some undiscovered talent. You know, there's always somebody we haven't. I mean, as soon as we hit the ground, it's always somebody behind us. That's how I look at it. It's the next generation that's pushing us. So whomever, as long as the songs are good and tell a good story, and have a good message, I'm open. Absolutely.
And big shout out to Sister Lena. I do radio promotions for her sister Lauren. I'm not sure if you ever met Lauren or not, but she's another great artist as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't met her. I don't think I am familiar with her. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then, of course, the next one we have for you, in your opinion, what is your biggest accomplishment in your life? One, and then two, in your music career so far.
My biggest accomplishment in life. Well, I would say being successful here in Los Angeles is a big accomplishment for me. It hasn't been without its challenges. I will say that. I've been here almost 21 years and experienced all kind of ups and downs, been laid off, been on unemployment, been hustling, been, really trying to make it. But I think my greatest accomplishment is just being able to survive and be successful in everything that I've intended to do. And then, continuing to grow in ministry and those opportunities that have been before me. God blows my mind all the time. So it's some things, some calls I get, I just don't believe that I'm actually in those places. Being at Carnegie Hall, being at the Hollywood Bowl, and I'm just sitting there almost crying, and I had to, stop myself and be like, get it together. But I just couldn't believe that I was here in front of these people and to hear people who recognized me. And it just, it's an amazing thing. God is good. Every opportunity He is granted is just a blessing. And I don't take it for granted. Personally, well, that was personally. And I think musically, having a song released has always been a dream of mine. Having something that I could go in iTunes and pull up and search my name and have songs come up. And I've had several. And I can go in there and do a Google search, a YouTube search, and see myself. And that has always been my dream. And for my dad to be proud and my mom to be proud, that's always a personal accomplishment as well. And to have that. So those are my two biggest ones.
All right, this next one's gonna be digging a little deeper, okay? So like I said, if you don't wanna answer, just say pass.
Okay.
Of course, life presents a lot of ups and a lot of downs. So what is an obstacle that you had to experience, that you've experienced and really had to, I guess, lean into your faith with God and just kind of trust Him to get through it?
Well, I think, the economic crisis of 2008 was really hard for me. I ended up losing my job and I was unemployed for close to a year. And did not know what the outcome of that was going to be. It was a very scary situation because I'm away from home. I don't have the ability to go home to my parents and trying to figure out too, what was going to be the future for me. And I really had to trust God. We had some moments where I was, what's going to happen here? What are we doing? Where am I going to go? Is this it? Is this all that there was for me? I'm going back home. I'm going to be a failure. I'm coming back and everybody's going to be looking at me, starting over. And I really had to challenge myself to keep believing, keep trying. And the Lord opened the door He wanted open for me. It took about 10 months of constantly going to job interviews. And, I even applied with my old company that laid me off, and that hurt that they didn't take me back. I was like, what do you mean you don't want to take me back? But that hurt. But when I finally got to the right place, the Lord has always strategically put me where He's wanted me. And I can say that throughout my whole entire life. So when that door opened, I was able to grow, and He's given me favor where I can do music and do this and not have to compromise on either. So it was about waiting on the Lord and seeing God. And I made more money while I was unemployed than I made when I had a job. It was just different opportunities. I had the ability to go to a studio session at 10 a.m. I could go do a movie set, come sing down here or go do that. I was available. And so those things were just coming left and right. And I saw how the Lord was still able to provide and meet needs. And so that was the biggest challenge that I've overcome, I think, in my adulthood. It's a scary moment to not know what's going to happen next. Yeah.
Indeed, it is. Of course, I know earlier you mentioned some of your hobbies, and one of those hobbies was cooking.
Mm,
So I got a two-part question.
okay.
Of course, you traveled the world and been in a lot of places. Who has the best food in your opinion? Have a place you've been. And two, what is the best dish that if you was having a whole bunch of people come over, what would be that number one meal that you would make for the people?
So the best food I would say I've had, honestly, and this is gonna sound horrible, as I would say California to me. I'm sorry, I'm a California native, and I think it depends on what's your favorite food. Mine is Mexican food, and
Mm-hmm.
so
The
I have
tacos out there.
not found anywhere else in the USA that makes
Mm-hmm.
Mexican food like California. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now with that in mind, my dish that I'm usually requested to make most often would be enchiladas.
Okay.
So when I
Wow.
make that or we have a function, everybody says, "You're going to make enchiladas, right?" And I'm like, okay. The other one would be red velvet cupcakes. That's
Okay.
a signature that I do. But I like to try new things and new
Mm-hmm.
recipes,
Mm-hmm.
and put my spin on things. But those are my two most requested.
Okay. Um, do you have any hidden talents that not too many people know about?
I don't know if I would call it a hidden talent, but I'm really really good with kids. People
Mm-hmm.
don't know that about me because I'm very quiet
Mm-hmm.
and I don't say a lot. And I have a persona, to be. I'm really intense with my thoughts. So my face
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. If you catch me at the wrong time, you be like, "What is she thinking about? Why is she looking like that?" But it's something about a baby and a child. I just, I just love them. They're really dear to my heart. And
Mm-hmm.
so they call me, a lot of times they will call me the baby whisperer because I'll take a kid and I just got them and they're, I can get them to calm down. I can get them to do something. I can get them to do whatever. And that's something I do. As far as other talents, I would say for me, it's probably, I have a really good memory. So if you were to ask me questions about, what lyrics, this song that says that, do you know what song that is? I can tell you who
Mm-hmm.
it is and tell you who the record is. And I'm really good with those games. So
Okay.
what's that game? The lyrical
Yeah, yeah.
game where they give you, just a couple words of
It's like
something.
it's almost like a charade type of thing.
Exactly,
I
exactly.
can't think. I know
Nobody
what you're
wants to
talking
play
about.
with
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
And I'm real good at taboo too. I can play
Okay.
taboo real good. Like I get up all the cards. So those are, little things about me.
So I gotta ask this, you out there in the LA area, or California. How's the dice or
How
dominoes? So the dominoes. Can you play dominoes?
I do not. I do not
Okay.
play dominoes. I have not
Okay.
learned how. It's one of them things coming up in a
Mm-hmm.
in a very strict Pentecostal household. We weren't allowed to play with. I mean, we barely were able to play Monopoly, but
Yeah, yeah.
they would not let us have dice. I couldn't have cards.
Mm-hmm.
None of that stuff. So I never learned how to play dominoes. I never learned how to, do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've tried a few times, but trying to learn how to play with people who play
That's true.
often is not, I would not recommend that because they don't have patience. They
Yeah.
want you to hurry up. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, hold on. Okay, now it's too intimidating. So I gotta, my friend told me to learn on an app on the phone
Mm-hmm.
so learn in that way and then you'll be a better off. But yeah, I tried that. It didn't work well for me, trying
Mm-hmm.
to learn on the spot.
Yeah, I have a friend. His name is Amar Khalil. He used to be a part of Tony and now he's currently in
Okay.
3TOB. He always talks about dominoes. Like, man, I can't play that stuff, man. Because just like you, I grew up with a strict grandfather. He was a deacon in the
Mm.
church, so of course we couldn't play cards too often unless we had to be as far away from the house as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and I couldn't even listen to Kurt Franklin at first, because he was saying that was too much. It was too close to the
Yeah,
R&B and the funk, which it kind of was because he did a lot of sampling back then.
right.
So I definitely get it. And you grew up, was it PAW, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was even more stricter than the Baptist church. So
Yeah, yeah.
so so I get it, but everything is not meant for everybody. Of course, I think during those conversations they were just trying to protect us from certain things. Because, you know, some
Yeah,
people, once they start playing those games, here come the gambling and all this other stuff and all the other
exactly.
addictions. So I learned, I realized that, you know, later in life. I was like, at the time, I said, man, why can't I go have fun like everybody else? But I
Right.
definitely get it. And of course, I'm not sure if you're a sports fan or not, but of course, it's the NBA playoffs. Do you have a team that's still in the playoffs right now? Mine's is the Golden State Warriors. So hopefully win tonight.
No, you know, if I could be honest, I'm disappointed. So, you know, all of our LA teams, our California teams struggled quite a bit this go around. So, you know what? I actually found myself liking OKC a little bit. And I mean, I don't know why. Something about that team. I watched them play before the playoffs and kind of regular season, and I was like, okay, I like it. I like them a little bit. Their hustle. So I don't know. I don't know who I'm gonna end up rooting for, but yeah, the California teams. I was like, okay, so it won't be one of the Lakers, especially. But I think, you know, just got to regroup a little bit and hopefully next year. But you know, I'm more of a basketball fan than I'm a football fan. I don't too much like football, but basketball I definitely have been watching, and I was like, okay, we're out, so I gotta find another team to root for.
Yeah, I actually live here in the OKC, and
Okay.
I wear my Warrior stuff. I get all kinds of looks.
Oh, really?
So maybe we could trade places or something.
If they were, you know, still in it, I definitely would be rooting for a California team. But you know, you got to go with who has a chance. So
yeah. And then, of course, we're getting close to the end. I had a few people send in some fan questions for you. Okay.
Oh, okay. Sure.
They want to know. The first person wants to know who has been the most impactful person, or who was the most impactful person in your life that helped shape who you are today.
I would say my father, and I know that's cliche, but when I first started singing, my dad was the one who really started pouring into me and really started talking to me about that. You know, and he, like I said, he was third generation. He also was the last one of his siblings to start singing. Nobody knew he could sing either. And he just broke out with it one day, and everybody was like, oh. But he really was making sure that he supported me in it and kept me grounded as far as the music ministry aspect of it, making sure that what I was doing was edifying, and always being grateful for the opportunity, being humble. He told me when I had a bad day, he was like, yeah, it was all right, but it wasn't your best. And always wanted me to make sure that I lived in a way that I could be used of God always. So, you know, even in this situation, his support has meant a lot. So.
And Crystal out of Dallas wants to know, do you have any advice for aspiring singers or any vocal techniques that you could share?
Well, I would say what helped me is studying everybody. I studied all of everybody who was out at the time, the Clark sisters, Vanessa Bell Armstrong is one of my favorites. I studied, it's, you know, just everybody that came out. I would study their approach to the song, study how they handled that song from the beginning all the way to the end, what they chose to do, how they manipulated their voice, their breath control, what they said in the delivery, not to mimic them or to become them, but you wanted to understand the artistry of delivering a song impactfully and what gripped you in that song, what held your attention. And then vocal techniques. I did attend Fresno State University and did go through classical training. And even though a lot of times they make you choose between gospel and classical, the two cannot, there are some who can coexist, but they'll come at you real quick as a vocalist and say, all right, you're going to have to choose which one you want to do. But there are definitely techniques like breath, breathing, articulation, learning how to place the vowels in certain, especially in English. Our language is the hardest to sing in just because it's just, there's so many different complicated tones and vowel sounds, but learning how to, you know, hold your mouth to get the breath and to support your notes and protect your instrument. You're going to learn that in the classical training. And so I would tell everybody, if you have an opportunity to learn the elements of classical. Take what you need from it, but there are definitely some amazing things that you can apply there. But breath control is definitely one. Singing within your range, using your microphone. I still have challenges with that because some of our sound systems don't always be the optimal.
Yeah.
And so you have to figure out how you're going to approach it without doing damage. So learning how to use the different aspects of your voice where you're not doing damage. C and ENT. I saw my first one. I was scared to go and I went. But please go do the scope. Have them look at your vocal cords and see what's going on so that you can get ahead of things before they become, surgical, and things like that. But yeah, and knowing that your voice is going to evolve. It does change as you get older. It doesn't recover as quickly. Your range changes, your sound changes, and embracing each stage of development, I think is important.
Because when I started to notice with a lot of artists that's been, singing for years, you're starting to get the nodules in the neck, and or their vocals are just kind of completely cutting out altogether.
Yeah.
So guys, definitely take heed to taking care of your voice. Don't be, especially my quartet folks, don't be up there screaming the whole night. You don't have to do all that to get the song across. So.
It's hard because sometimes the audience is waiting for you to do that. Yeah. They're waiting for the squall, they're waiting for the scream and the holler, and you're like, okay, but there's a right way to do it, and then making sure that you do self-care after to repair what you've done. Yeah, absolutely.
And Kim in Miami wants to know, where do you get your fashion sense from?
You know what? I'm about it's a couple things that I keep in mind always. One is the setting I'm going to be in. And so like you talked about PFW, if I'm doing something there, I already know what I got to apply there. And so I make sure all that is fitting. But I just basically look for what's comfortable, what's respectful, and what I feel more like myself in. So I have different places that I may shop from and putting things together. I have a friend that is really, really good with that. And I just take influences from people around me, and just try it, till I find something that my personal style and what I just different pieces of different things, how I want to be represented. So all over pretty much.
And then we have one more fan question for you. Tim from Little Rock, Arkansas wants to know, in your opinion, what has been the most memorable performance of your career?
Most memorable.
Because you've been at a lot of amazing places. You did the Hollywood Bowl, you went done Carnegie Hall, and all these major things. So if you could just, matter of fact, let's bump it up to 2.
Well, I think those are the main 2 because those were theaters that I've heard about, but I'd never been in before, and they were such huge performances. Those were the jazz performances with Lettucey, and a lot of people were not used to her being in that. I mean, we have full orchestras and all that. So the Hollywood Bowl, being in that moment, hearing the fullness of the music, it'll catch you off guard, honestly, how beautiful everything is. And then for me with the Hollywood Bowl, I didn't expect anybody to come that knew me. I thought I was just going to be, those folks who had the jazz season passes and nobody knows me. So but to come out on the stage, and then she actually shared her platform. She gave us a solo. Oh, wow. So I was like, whoa, this is my first time out and I get a little piece of this. So to walk across the stage and people were cheering, and it was so many people, I was like, oh my God, it took my breath away. Same thing with Carnegie Hall, same thing. It was packed all the way to the top. And so, for Lettucey to give those moments to us to also share in that beautiful, I mean, it was just beautiful to hear the encores and it's everything again. Those are my moments that I really am grateful for. The opportunity to do. I never saw it coming and I didn't expect to be there. So that was just amazing for me.
I actually forgot about one question. I'm
Sure.
sorry. It's a guy. His name is David. He wants to know, does Snoop really talk as calm as he, I guess, is on TV? Is he normally that
Is
same
who?
tone? Snoop? Does he normally keep that same calm voice?
You know what? He's very funny.
Mm-hmm.
Very comical.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, yes, but if you watch the video that's out right now, they just released the whole release
Yes.
on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. You'll
Mm-hmm.
see he actually has some moments there where he gets very excited, very
Yeah.
animated.
Mm-hmm.
He gets involved in the music. I
Mm-hmm.
think he comes alive when something really touches his heart, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, yeah, he was real
Mm-hmm.
cool, laid back character. But yeah, he does. He could get there. He get real excited and
Yeah.
real involved.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And then before we wrap up, what's next for Camille Grigsby this year?
Camille Grigsby, you may see me. I'm gonna be doing the tour that Let Us See is gonna be doing here soon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be coming out there. I'm really focused on becoming more of a writer. So
Mm-hmm.
writing songs and some more songs for myself, and more songs for other projects, and really embracing that, challenging myself with my writing, and developing my songs, and hopefully getting a few of those out. Couple of things for myself that may not be
Mm-hmm.
tied to anyone else, but I have a
Mm-hmm.
couple songs that I've recorded over the years that I like to go back and revisit and release those. So that's really
Mm-hmm.
what I see myself doing, and I'm hoping for opportunities to do that.
And I guess with that being said, are you open to working with independent artists, or do they have to have a certain
No. I
status?
think
Okay.
that's probably what's the majority at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Is a lot of independent artists that are
Mm-hmm.
just kind of doing things a little bit more for themselves and really behind and taking control of their own trajectory at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I'm not at all. I've seen a lot of people have great success being independent. So no, not at
Mm-hmm.
all. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
any issues with that.
Because after people reach, some people once they reach a certain level, like, yeah, I'm just gonna stick with this group of people, or they get these credits. Yeah, I'm just sticking with this group. So
No.
it's good to know that you're one of the ones that as long as it speaks to you, you're willing to be a part.
Yeah, absolutely.
So of course, how can the listeners one, follow you on social media, two, sow a seed into your ministry, and three, how can they promote his book?
Well, you can follow me. I am on Instagram as Camille Grigsby. I'm on Instagram. On Facebook, I am Camille Dionne Grigsby. Both of those are public pages, so definitely reach out to me and follow me there. They can also reach out to me on those as well as about inquiries about booking. I do handle my own. So I look at different inquiries, and I'll make contact with you and give you the personal information to reach out to me about any events that you may have and what that looks like. Um, what was your other question? I'm sorry.
How can they sow a seed into your ministry?
Oh,
Because it takes a lot to keep this stuff going. Recording
yeah,
and
absolutely. If you
all the
were
different
inclined to
things.
do so, I'll definitely provide that information as well. I accept Venmo and Zelle payments and all of that type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So definitely, if you would like to share, I'm happy to receive that
Mm-hmm.
as well, and provide that information to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate anything. Definitely, the Lord has been good to me, and so if you would like to share, but definitely, if there's ministry opportunities that you have for me, I definitely am looking to consider it and coming. I just appreciate anything that the Lord, any opportunities I have to share.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. We was joined by the incredible Camille Grigsby. Keep it locked here. Coming up, we have her latest single called "His Name." Right about now.